My own daughter told me I was too embarrassing and outdated to walk her down the aisle at her $150,000 dream wedding, saying I should just sit quietly in the back and try not to draw attention. But she had no idea she was humiliating. The woman who secretly owned the exclusive vineyard estate where her reception was being held, controlled the catering company providing her gourmet dinner, and whose signature on a single contract cancellation could turn her perfect fairy tale wedding into a complete disaster with 200 guests watching her dreams crumble in real time. Before we dive into this incredible story of family betrayal and the wedding empire my ungrateful daughter never knew I controlled, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment telling me about your worst experience with family members who underestimated you and discovered just how wrong they could be, and subscribe so you never miss stories like this one about what happens when people assume elderly parents are embarrassing burdens, and learn the devastating cost of dismissing someone whose business relationships and industry influence they had been benefiting from their entire lives without ever understanding the source of their opportunities. My name is Eleanor Whitmore. I'm 72 years old, and this story begins on June 15, 2023, during what should have been the happiest day of my daughter's life, her wedding day at Rosewood Manor Vineyard in Sonoma County, California. When I made what seemed like a simple request to fulfill the traditional role of walking my only child down the aisle, a request that would reveal her true character and teach her the most expensive lesson about treating elderly parents like social embarrassments rather than understanding the business empire and industry connections their comfortable lives had been built upon. But to understand how Sarah Elizabeth Whitmore Davidson, the entitled bride who thought she could humiliate and sideline a 72-year-old woman on the most important day of her life, ended up with a canceled reception, stranded wedding guests, and a marriage that began with complete social humiliation in front of everyone she wanted to impress. You need to know who I was before my carefully maintained image as a simple retired mother concealed one of the most powerful hospitality and event management networks on the West Coast. For 48 years, I was Eleanor Whitmore, founder and CEO of Whitmore Hospitality Group, one of America's most exclusive event management and luxury venue companies, controlling over $800 million in premium properties, catering operations, and high-end event services throughout California's wine country, from Napa Valley to Santa Barbara County. I wasn't just living on a modest retirement income like most elderly mothers whose adult children assume they've become irrelevant. I was the strategic mastermind behind the luxury wedding industry that made dream celebrations possible for wealthy families throughout the West Coast, and the business relationships I had cultivated over 5 decades determined which venues were available for exclusive events and which vendors could make or break a perfect wedding day with a single phone call. My hospitality empire encompassed a direct ownership of 12 of California's most prestigious wedding venues, including the legendary Rosewood Manor Vineyard where Sarah had booked her reception, the oceanfront Malibu estate where tech billionaires held their ceremonies, and the historic Carmel Mission Gardens where Hollywood celebrities exchanged vows under century-old oak trees that had witnessed more luxury weddings than any other venue in American history. These weren't just business investments. They were carefully curated properties that I had personally transformed from ordinary estates into the magical settings where America's wealthiest families created their most precious memories. But venue ownership represented only the foundation of my influence within California's luxury wedding industry. Through strategic partnerships and exclusive contracts developed over decades of relationship building, I controlled the scheduling and availability of the state's most sought-after wedding vendors. From Michelin-starred catering companies that charged $500 per plate for custom menus, to internationally renowned floral designers whose arrangements cost more than most people's annual salaries, to photography teams whose wedding portfolios grace the pages of Vogue, Martha Stewart Weddings, and Town & Country magazines read by millions of women planning their own dream celebrations. My vendor network included relationships with over 200 premium service providers throughout California who had built their reputations and client bases through referrals from Whitmore Hospitality Group. These weren't casual business connections. They were deeply personal and professional relationships forged through decades of mutual success, where my recommendation could launch a small catering company into luxury market prominence, and my disapproval could eliminate access to the wealthy clientele that sustained high-end wedding businesses throughout the most competitive hospitality market in America. The scope of my industry influence extended far beyond individual vendor relationships to comprehensive involvement in the luxury event management associations, hospitality industry boards, and exclusive professional networks that controlled standards, pricing, and market access throughout California's wedding industry. I served on the board of directors for the California Luxury Venue Association, where my decisions influenced which properties qualified for exclusive venue designation and which event management companies received referrals from the industry's most prestigious professional networks. My membership in the International Association of Hospitality Professionals provided access to vendor networks and industry resources throughout North America and Europe, allowing me to coordinate destination weddings and international celebrations that required vendor relationships spanning multiple countries and complex logistics that only the most experienced event management professionals could successfully navigate without creating disasters that destroyed family relationships and social reputations. But these professional achievements only tell part of the story about the complexity and critical importance of luxury event management at the highest levels of California's hospitality industry, where a single mistake in vendor coordination or venue management could destroy family relationships, eliminate social standing, and create public embarrassment that followed wealthy families for generations through social media documentation and gossip networks that preserved wedding disasters as cautionary tales shared throughout affluent communities. When you're responsible for coordinating weddings that cost more than most people's houses, managing vendor relationships that determine whether events succeed or fail spectacularly, and maintaining the reputation standards that separate exclusive venues from ordinary reception halls, every decision carries enormous weight and consequences that extend far beyond individual celebrations to impact entire communities of vendors, employees, and service providers whose livelihoods depend on the success of luxury event operations and the continued prosperity of The financial complexity of luxury wedding management required sophisticated understanding of deposit structures, vendor payment schedules, insurance requirements, and contract negotiations that protected both clients and service providers, while ensuring that events proceeded smoothly despite the countless variables that could create disasters during high-pressure celebrations where family emotions and social expectations created volatile situations that required expert management and crisis resolution skills. A typical luxury wedding coordinated through Whitmore Hospitality Group involved managing contracts with 15 to 20 different vendors, coordinating schedules across multiple properties and service locations, and ensuring quality control standards that maintained our reputation for flawless execution while protecting our clients from the vendor reliability issues and service failures that could transform dream celebrations into social disasters documented through photography and social media that preserved failures permanently. During my 4 decades in luxury event management, I had coordinated over 3,000 weddings ranging from intimate family celebrations for tech entrepreneurs to elaborate destination ceremonies for international royalty, each requiring unique vendor combinations and specialized services that tested my industry relationships and professional expertise while building the reputation network that made Whitmore Hospitality Group the most exclusive and sought-after event management company on the West Coast. But the most significant aspect of my hospitality career was the crisis management expertise I had developed through handling the emergencies and disasters that inevitably occurred during high-pressure events, where family emotions, vendor coordination, and social expectations created volatile situations that required immediate problem-solving and damage control to prevent complete celebration failures and family relationship destruction. During the devastating 2008 recession that destroyed thousands of small businesses and eliminated luxury spending throughout California, I coordinated protective strategies that literally saved dozens of family-owned catering companies, floral designers, and specialty vendors from bankruptcy while maintaining the employment of over 2,000 hospitality workers, whose jobs depended on continued luxury event demand and venue operations that many companies couldn't sustain during the economic downturn that eliminated discretionary spending among wealthy families. Working 18-hour days for 10 months straight, I restructured vendor contracts in real time to provide emergency payment flexibility, negotiated with banks and creditors to prevent foreclosures on family businesses that had been operating for generations and employed hundreds of workers throughout California's hospitality industry, managed emergency funding from my own resources that kept small vendors financially stable during the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression, and implemented crisis management protocols that allowed luxury hospitality businesses to survive while maintaining the quality. I remember specifically working with the Delacroix Family Catering Company, a third-generation French culinary business based in Napa Valley that employed 85 people and had been providing gourmet wedding catering for wealthy families throughout Northern California since 1954. When the financial crisis hit, their business faced potential bankruptcy due to massive cancellations from families who could no longer afford luxury wedding expenses, creating a cascade of financial problems that threatened to eliminate not only their family legacy, but also the jobs and specialized culinary skills that their company had preserved through decades of French cooking tradition. I coordinated with emergency lending partners, restructured their payment schedules through strategic vendor contract modifications, and provided bridge financing from our crisis management fund that allowed Delacroix Family Catering to survive the worst period of the recession while maintaining their workforce and continuing their artisanal culinary programs that preserved traditional French cooking techniques and maintained employment for specialized chefs whose skills were irreplaceable assets to California's luxury hospitality industry. The company not only survived but expanded significantly during the recovery, eventually becoming one of the largest luxury catering operations in California and increasing their employment to over 200 culinary professionals while maintaining the family tradition and artisanal quality that had made them the preferred caterer for tech billionaires, Hollywood celebrities, and international dignitaries, hosting events throughout the Bay Area and wine country regions. The Delacroix family's success became a model for other family-owned hospitality businesses facing similar crisis challenges, and their recovery story was featured in Hospitality Management magazine as an example of how sophisticated crisis management and vendor relationship preservation could protect not only individual family businesses but entire communities of specialized workers and artisans who depended on luxury hospitality demand for maintaining their traditional skills and employment opportunities. During that same crisis period, I worked with the Sonoma Valley Floral Collective, a consortium of 12 family-owned flower farms and design studios that employed over 150 people and provided the elaborate floral arrangements that made California wine country weddings internationally famous for their natural beauty and horticultural artistry. The collective faced potential dissolution due to massive order cancellations and supply chain disruptions that threatened to eliminate not only their individual businesses but also the agricultural knowledge and design expertise that had been developed through generations of family farming and artistic tradition. I spent 6 months restructuring their business model, implementing cooperative marketing strategies that reduced individual business risks while maintaining competitive excellence, and coordinating with venue owners throughout California to develop innovative floral package programs that provided cost efficiencies for clients while maintaining employment and artistic standards for the collective's member businesses and their specialized employees. The restructured collective became so successful that it doubled its annual revenue within 3 years, while expanding membership to include over 200 floral designers and agricultural specialists throughout California's Central Coast region. The collective's success attracted attention from luxury venue owners throughout the western United States who adopted similar cooperative vendor models, creating a network of coordinated hospitality businesses that increased their collective market power while maintaining the individual artistry and family traditions that made California wedding celebrations uniquely beautiful and culturally significant. These crisis management experiences had taught me invaluable lessons about vendor relationships, family business dynamics, and the complex interconnections between individual celebrations and the entire community of hospitality professionals, whose livelihoods depended on maintaining excellent standards and client satisfaction that sustained luxury event demand throughout economic cycles and social changes that affected affluent spending patterns and celebration preferences. But beyond the business achievements and crisis management expertise, my hospitality career had provided comprehensive understanding of family dynamics during high-pressure celebrations, where emotional stress and social expectations often revealed people's true character and priorities in ways that ordinary family interactions never exposed or tested through the kind of pressure situations that determined whether family relationships would survive the intense scrutiny and coordination challenges that luxury weddings created. I had observed thousands of family dynamics during wedding planning consultations and event coordination over 4 decades of luxury hospitality management. I had seen devoted families who honored elderly relatives' wisdom and included them respectfully in celebration planning, making efforts to ensure that wedding celebrations strengthened family unity while creating magical experiences that supported family legacy preservation and intergenerational relationship building through shared celebration experiences and collaborative event planning. But I had also witnessed families who dismissed elderly members' opinions when social convenience became more important than family relationships, who viewed wedding planning as opportunities to demonstrate their contemporary sophistication rather than understanding that successful celebrations required respecting family traditions and including elderly relatives in meaningful ways that honored their contributions to family history and their continued importance to family unity and legacy preservation. These families treated elderly relatives as potential embarrassments to their social image rather than recognizing them as sources of wisdom and family heritage that could enhance celebration meaning and provide emotional foundation for marriage success through family support and intergenerational blessing that gave weddings deeper significance beyond just social entertainment and personal gratification. These observations had given me sophisticated understanding of family relationship patterns and the warning signs that indicated when adult children viewed elderly parents' involvement as social liabilities rather than understanding that family celebrations achieved their deepest meaning through inclusion and respect for the generations whose lifetime achievements and family sacrifices had created the opportunities and resources that enabled younger generations to host elaborate celebrations and build successful lives. The warning signs were always similar. Adult children who suddenly became very interested in modernizing family traditions when they needed to impress social connections or professional networks, timing their family relationship management to coincide with their social advancement needs rather than demonstrating genuine respect for elderly relatives' feelings and family role preferences that honored their lifetime contributions and continued importance to family identity and celebration significance. Family members who gradually gained control over celebration planning while systematically reducing elderly relatives' involvement through updated approaches and contemporary family management that positioned younger generations as sophistication leaders, while treating traditional family roles and intergenerational respect as outdated concepts that needed elimination or modification to meet current social standards and professional image requirements. Successful adult children who had benefited from family resources and parental sacrifices, while gradually developing attitudes that treated elderly parents as social embarrassments, rather than understanding that their comfortable lives and celebration opportunities had been built upon generations of family achievement and parental dedication that deserved gratitude and respect, rather than dismissal and social management, through role reduction and involvement limitation. Most concerning were the adult children who systematically isolated elderly parents from important family events and celebration planning, convincing themselves that family modernization required reducing traditional roles and intergenerational involvement to meet contemporary social standards, while actually demonstrating selfishness and social insecurity that prioritized external image over family relationships and elderly parent respect that formed the foundation of family unity and celebration authenticity. My marriage to Robert Whitmore had been a partnership built on shared commitment to building hospitality excellence, complementary expertise in event management and business development, and dedication to creating celebration experiences that honored family relationships while maintaining the service standards and vendor relationships that gave luxury weddings their magical quality and emotional significance beyond just expensive entertainment and social demonstration. Robert was a brilliant business strategist who had immigrated from Ireland in 1968 and started with a small catering company in San Francisco, gradually building an impressive vendor network throughout Northern California that specialized in providing authentic European culinary experiences for wealthy families who wanted celebration dining that reflected their cultural heritage and sophisticated dining preferences that distinguished their events from ordinary wedding receptions and social gatherings. Robert's business philosophy was relationship-focused and strategically brilliant. He identified emerging culinary trends before other caterers recognized their potential, developed partnerships with artisanal food producers throughout California and Europe before other businesses discovered their quality advantages, and created celebration dining experiences that honored family traditions while incorporating contemporary innovations that made weddings memorable for guests and meaningful for families hosting multi-generational celebrations. Together, Robert and I had built a hospitality empire that combined my venue management and vendor coordination expertise with his culinary innovation and cultural authenticity knowledge, creating celebration experiences that satisfied both family emotional needs and guest entertainment expectations, while maintaining the business relationships and service excellence that sustained our company's reputation and market leadership throughout California's competitive luxury event industry. Over 30 years of careful business development and relationship building, Robert and I had established vendor networks and venue partnerships throughout California that provided comprehensive wedding celebration services ranging from intimate family ceremonies to elaborate destination events for international clients, while maintaining the quality standards and cultural sensitivity that made our celebrations uniquely meaningful and emotionally satisfying for families hosting significant life milestone events. Robert's approach to hospitality management was based on the principle that sustainable celebration success required building genuine relationships among family members and between families and vendors, creating collaborative approaches to event planning that honored family preferences while maintaining service excellence and cultural authenticity that gave weddings lasting meaning beyond just social entertainment and temporary celebration experiences. The business foundation that Robert and I had built together included direct ownership of premium venue properties, exclusive partnerships with California's most talented vendors, and industry relationships that provided access to specialized services and unique celebration elements that distinguished our events from ordinary wedding receptions, while maintaining authentic family celebration traditions and emotional significance that created lasting memories and family unity rather than just expensive social experiences. Waminiahashinjas. The stage was being set for a wedding day that would test whether my daughter understood that family relationships required respect and appreciation for the parents whose lifetime achievements had created the opportunities and resources she had always taken for granted, or whether she would demonstrate the selfishness and social embarrassment that would cost her everything she thought made her special when she discovered that some elderly mothers possess the business power to determine whether their daughters' dream weddings become fairy tale celebrations or public disasters that no amount of money could repair. Once the damage was done in front of family, friends, and social connections, whose opinions would follow her for years through the gossip networks and social media documentation that preserved wedding failures as permanent reminders of character flaws and family relationship problems that destroyed social reputations and personal. But to truly understand the magnitude of what Sarah was about to destroy through her dismissive attitude toward her embarrassing mother, you need to comprehend the full scope of the hospitality empire I had built from absolutely nothing into one of the most influential wedding industry powerhouses on the entire West Coast, and how my reputation and relationships had become so integral to California's luxury celebration market that a single phone call from Eleanor Whitmore could determine whether a vendor thrived or disappeared from the industry entirely. When I started Whitmore Hospitality Group in 1975 at the age of 24, I was a recently divorced single mother with $3,000 in savings, a used Toyota Corolla, and a burning determination to create financial independence that would ensure my daughter would never experience the economic vulnerability and social limitations that had trapped so many women of my generation in unsatisfying relationships and dependent circumstances that eliminated their ability to make independent life choices and pursue their own professional dreams and financial security. My first business venture was coordinating small wedding receptions in church fellowship halls and community centers throughout Marin County, charging $200 per event to manage vendor coordination and timeline logistics for young couples whose families couldn't afford professional event planning, but wanted celebrations that felt special and well-organized, rather than chaotic family gatherings that created stress instead of joy during one of life's most important milestone moments. Those early years required working 18-hour days while caring for Sarah as a single mother, often bringing her to wedding venues in a portable playpen, while I coordinated vendor setups and managed event logistics that required constant problem-solving and customer service excellence that distinguished my events from the amateur family coordination that characterized most small weddings during the mid-1970s, when professional event planning was still considered an unnecessary luxury rather than essential service. But even during those modest beginnings, I demonstrated the attention to detail and vendor relationship management that would eventually build my reputation throughout California's hospitality industry. I never accepted good enough results from any vendor or service provider, instead developing quality standards and performance expectations that pushed everyone involved to deliver excellence that exceeded client expectations and created word-of-mouth referrals that gradually expanded my business reach and professional reputation. By 1978, Whitmore Hospitality Group was coordinating over 50 weddings annually throughout the Bay Area, with average event budgets increasing from $2,000 to $8,000, as my reputation for flawless execution and vendor coordination attracted more affluent clients who appreciated professional management that eliminated family stress while creating celebration experiences that impressed their guests and reflected their social status and sophisticated taste preferences. The breakthrough moment that launched my company into luxury market prominence occurred in March 1979, when I coordinated the wedding reception for Jennifer Martinez, daughter of Carlos Martinez, who owned Martinez Construction, one of Northern California's largest residential development companies. The event challenged every aspect of my professional capabilities. Because the family wanted a reception that would impress 300 guests, including business partners, political figures, and social leaders, whose attendance represented significant networking opportunities and social validation for the Martinez family's rising prominence within Bay Area business and political circles. The Martinez wedding required coordinating with vendors I had never worked with before, managing a budget of $35,000 that exceeded my previous total annual revenue, and creating a celebration atmosphere that would satisfy sophisticated guests whose own social events set regional standards for luxury entertainment and culinary excellence that couldn't be achieved through ordinary vendor coordination and amateur event management approaches. I spent 3 months developing vendor relationships specifically for the Martinez event, researching catering companies that could provide restaurant-quality dining for 300 people, identifying floral designers whose arrangements would create visual impact appropriate for guests accustomed to luxury experiences, and coordinating with musicians, photographers, and specialty service providers who could deliver professional results that matched the family's expectations and social requirements. The evening of the Martinez reception, everything proceeded flawlessly despite multiple behind-the-scenes crises that would have destroyed events managed by less experienced coordinators. When the original caterer's delivery truck broke down 2 hours before service, I activated backup vendor relationships and coordinated an emergency meal replacement that arrived precisely on schedule. When unexpected rain threatened the outdoor ceremony, I implemented weather contingency plans that relocated the service seamlessly while maintaining the romantic garden atmosphere the family had specifically requested. But the real test came when Carlos Martinez's business partner, William Henderson, approached me during the reception with obvious amazement about the event coordination and vendor management he had observed throughout the evening. "Eleanor, this is the most professionally managed celebration I've experienced outside of corporate events with unlimited budgets," Henderson told me while observing the smooth vendor coordination and guest service that had continued flawlessly despite the multiple crises that guests never knew had occurred. "My daughter is getting married next spring, and I want to hire you for an event that will set new standards for luxury wedding celebrations in Northern California." William Henderson owned Henderson Industries, a manufacturing and real estate development company with operations throughout the western United States, and his daughter's wedding would introduce me to the ultra-affluent market segment where wedding budgets exceeded $100,000, and vendor coordination required relationships with the most exclusive service providers in California, who typically worked only with established event management companies that had proven track records with high-net-worth clients and demanding celebration requirements. The Henderson wedding in April 1980 represented my entrance into California's luxury wedding industry elite, with a celebration budget of $125,000 that required coordinating with Michelin-starred catering companies, internationally renowned floral designers, and entertainment providers whose services were typically reserved for celebrity events and corporate celebrations, with unlimited budgets and sophisticated audience expectations. But beyond the individual event success, the Henderson wedding established my reputation within Northern California's business and social leadership networks, where successful event coordination became evidence of my professional capabilities and industry relationships that could benefit other families planning significant celebrations and milestone events that required vendor coordination and logistical management exceeding ordinary wedding planning approaches. Within 6 months of the Henderson wedding, I was receiving referrals from tech entrepreneurs, real estate developers, and financial industry leaders throughout the Bay Area who needed event coordination for celebrations that would impress business partners, political figures, and social connections whose attendance represented significant networking opportunities and reputation enhancement that required professional management rather than amateur family coordination approaches. By 1982, Whitmore Hospitality Group was coordinating luxury weddings with average budgets exceeding $75,000, managing vendor relationships with California's most exclusive service providers, and establishing the reputation standards that would eventually make my company the preferred event management firm for wealthy families throughout Northern California who demanded celebration experiences that reflected their social status and business success while maintaining family authenticity and emotional significance. The business expansion during the early 1980s required developing sophisticated vendor evaluation systems and quality control standards that ensured consistent excellence across all events while building the professional relationships that would sustain my company's growth and market leadership throughout economic cycles and industry changes that eliminated less professional event management companies unable to maintain vendor relationships and service excellence during challenging periods. I established vendor certification programs that evaluated service providers based on reliability, quality standards, professional presentation, and crisis management capabilities that determined which companies qualified for inclusion in Whitmore Hospitality Group's preferred vendor network. These standards eliminated amateur vendors while creating partnership opportunities for professional service providers who shared my commitment to excellence and client satisfaction that distinguished luxury events from ordinary celebrations. But the vendor certification process was just the foundation for building the comprehensive vendor network that would eventually include over 200 premium service providers throughout California, who had demonstrated consistent excellence and professional reliability through multiple events and challenging coordination situations that tested their capabilities under pressure and crisis conditions, that revealed true professional competence and commitment to client satisfaction. By 1985, my vendor network included exclusive partnerships with 12 premium catering companies that specialized in different culinary traditions and service styles, from classical French cuisine providers who could recreate authentic European dining experiences, to innovative California cuisine specialists who incorporated fresh local ingredients and contemporary presentation techniques that impressed sophisticated guests, while maintaining traditional celebration dining significance and family satisfaction. The catering partnerships represented just one aspect of vendor relationship development that included exclusive arrangements with floral designers whose botanical artistry could transform ordinary venues into magical celebration environments, photography teams whose portfolio work appeared regularly in luxury lifestyle publications read throughout California's affluent communities, and entertainment providers ranging from classical ensembles to contemporary dance bands, whose performance quality met the standards expected by guests accustomed to professional entertainment experience. But developing premium vendor relationships required more than just identifying talented service providers. It demanded creating financial arrangements and professional partnerships that ensured vendor loyalty and availability during California's peak wedding season, when demand for excellent service providers exceeded supply, creating competitive situations where event coordination companies competed for vendor access and scheduling priority that determined which celebrations could achieve their planned excellence levels. I developed vendor partnership agreements that included guaranteed minimum annual business volumes, priority scheduling arrangements during peak season periods, and profit-sharing structures that aligned vendor success with client satisfaction, while ensuring that Whitmore Hospitality Group received preferred treatment and emergency support during crisis situations that required immediate vendor response and problem-solving collaboration. These vendor partnerships created competitive advantages that allowed my company to guarantee service availability and quality levels that other event coordination companies couldn't match, while providing vendors with financial security and business development opportunities that strengthen their capabilities and professional reputation through association with luxury celebration market leadership and consistent high-quality event coordination. The vendor relationship advantages became particularly important during the late 1980s, when California's luxury wedding market expanded dramatically due to technology industry growth and real estate appreciation that created new wealth among young professionals who demanded celebration experiences that reflected their sophisticated lifestyle preferences and social networking requirements, while maintaining family authenticity and emotional significance that distinguished meaningful weddings from expensive social entertainment. During this expansion period, I coordinated wedding celebrations for tech industry pioneers whose companies would eventually become household names throughout America, including early employees of Apple Computer, Intel, and Hewlett-Packard, whose stock options and career success enabled celebration budgets that pushed luxury wedding standards to new levels of vendor coordination complexity and guest experience sophistication. One particularly significant event was the September 1987 wedding of Patricia Wong, daughter of David Wong, who had been an early investor in multiple Silicon Valley startups and whose business network included venture capitalists, technology executives, and international business leaders whose attendance at his daughter's wedding required event coordination that met international luxury standards while incorporating cultural traditions that honored his family's Chinese heritage and American business success. The Wong wedding required coordinating with specialty vendors who could provide authentic Chinese cultural elements, including traditional ceremony components, specialized catering that combined Chinese culinary traditions with contemporary California cuisine preferences, and entertainment that satisfied both older relatives who expected cultural authenticity and younger guests who preferred contemporary celebration experiences and social networking opportunities. But the cultural coordination challenges were complicated by guest list requirements that included international business leaders, technology industry executives, and political figures whose attendance required security arrangements, special dietary accommodations, and social protocol management that exceeded ordinary wedding coordination and demanded sophisticated understanding of business entertainment standards and cultural sensitivity requirements. I spent 4 months developing vendor relationships specifically for the Wong wedding, including partnerships with cultural specialists who could provide authentic Chinese ceremony elements, international catering consultants who understood both traditional Chinese cuisine and contemporary California dining preferences, and security coordination with law enforcement professionals who could manage guest protection requirements while maintaining celebration atmosphere and family privacy. The Wong wedding became legendary within California's luxury event industry, not only for the flawless cultural integration and international guest management, but for the business networking opportunities that developed during the celebration among technology industry leaders, whose conversations during the reception resulted in venture capital partnerships and business relationships that influenced Silicon Valley development throughout the following decade. More importantly for my company's development, the Wong wedding established my reputation as the event coordinator who could manage complex cultural requirements and international guest needs while maintaining celebration authenticity and family satisfaction that honored traditional values while meeting contemporary luxury standards and business entertainment requirements. Following the Wong wedding's success, I received inquiries from families throughout California who needed event coordination for celebrations involving cultural traditions, international guests, or business networking requirements that exceeded ordinary wedding planning capabilities and demanded sophisticated understanding of cultural sensitivity, business protocol, and luxury service coordination that distinguished professional event management from amateur family planning approaches. By 1990, Whitmore Hospitality Group was coordinating over 150 luxury weddings annually throughout California, with average celebration budgets exceeding $150,000 and vendor coordination involving the state's most exclusive service providers who had been certified through my quality standards and professional relationship development programs that ensured consistent excellence and client satisfaction across all events and celebration types. The business expansion required developing regional vendor networks throughout California that could provide consistent service quality and professional reliability from San Francisco to Los Angeles, while maintaining the centralized coordination and quality control standards that distinguished Whitmore Hospitality Group from local event planning companies that lacked statewide vendor relationships and consistent service capability across different regional markets and celebration requirements. I established regional coordination offices in Los Angeles, San Diego, Santa Barbara, and Monterey that provided local vendor management and client service while maintaining connection to the comprehensive vendor network and quality standards that ensured consistent celebration excellence regardless of venue location or regional service provider differences that could affect event coordination and guest experience quality. But regional expansion was just the foundation for the comprehensive growth strategy that would eventually establish Whitmore Hospitality Group as California's premier luxury wedding coordination company, with market leadership that extended beyond individual event coordination to industry influence and vendor relationship control that determined market standards and professional practices throughout the state's luxury celebration industry. The 1990s represented the most significant growth period in my company's history, as California's economic expansion and technology industry development created unprecedented demand for luxury wedding celebrations among newly affluent professionals who had achieved financial success but lacked experience with high-end vendor coordination and sophisticated event management that could create celebration experiences appropriate for their social status and business networking requirements. During this period, I coordinated weddings for technology executives whose companies were developing the internet infrastructure and software applications that would transform global communication, including celebration events for early employees of Netscape, Yahoo, and other internet pioneers whose stock options and career advancement enabled wedding budgets that exceeded $300,000 and required vendor coordination that pushed luxury celebration standards to new levels of sophistication and guest experience excellence. But the technology industry wedding boom also created opportunities for comprehensive business development that extended beyond individual event coordination to venue ownership, and vendor relationship control that would provide long-term competitive advantages and market influence that distinguished Whitmore Hospitality Group from event coordination companies that remain dependent on vendor relationships rather than developing ownership positions and market control capabilities. In 1995, I made the strategic decision to purchase Rosewood Manor Vineyard, a 200-acre estate in Sonoma County that included a historic mansion, wine production facilities, and spectacular vineyard landscapes that provided the perfect setting for luxury wedding celebrations that combined California wine country romance with sophisticated venue amenities and comprehensive event coordination capabilities that could satisfy the most demanding celebration requirements and guest expectations. The Rosewood Manor acquisition represented more than venue ownership. It provided complete control over celebration scheduling, vendor coordination, and guest experience management that eliminated the compromises and coordination challenges that characterized events held at venues owned by other parties who might prioritize different concerns over client satisfaction and celebration excellence that form the foundation of my company's reputation and market leadership. Within 2 years of acquiring Rosewood Manor, the venue was hosting over 100 luxury weddings annually, with average celebration revenues exceeding $200,000 per event, and guest experiences that established new standards for California wine country wedding celebrations that combined natural beauty with sophisticated amenities and professional event coordination that created magical experiences for families and memorable entertainment for guests. The success of Rosewood Manor demonstrated the competitive advantages of venue ownership and led to additional property acquisitions throughout California that provided comprehensive market coverage and eliminated dependence on external venue relationships that could affect scheduling flexibility and vendor coordination capabilities during peak wedding seasons when demand for premium venues exceeded availability. By 2000, Whitmore Hospitality Group owned 12 premium wedding venues throughout California, including oceanfront estates in Malibu and Carmel, historic mansions in Napa Valley and Santa Barbara, and mountain resort properties in Lake Tahoe and Big Sur that provided celebration settings for every type of luxury wedding preference, while maintaining the comprehensive vendor coordination and professional event management that distinguished our celebrations from ordinary venue rentals and amateur coordination approaches. The venue ownership strategy also provided opportunities for vendor relationship development that extended beyond individual event coordination to comprehensive partnership arrangements with California's most exclusive service providers who recognized the business advantages of preferred vendor status with venue properties that hosted hundreds of luxury celebrations annually and provided consistent business opportunities throughout economic cycles and seasonal variations that affected independent event coordination and venue rental markets. But venue ownership and vendor relationship control were just components of the comprehensive market influence that I had developed through decades of professional excellence and industry leadership that extended beyond individual business success to recognition as California's preeminent luxury wedding coordination expert, whose opinions and recommendations influenced industry standards and professional practices throughout the West Coast hospitality and event management community. Throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, I served as president of the California Luxury Event Association, where my leadership influenced professional standards and certification requirements that determined which event coordination companies qualified for luxury market participation and which service providers met the quality requirements for high-end celebration vendor networks that served affluent clients throughout the region. My industry leadership also included consulting relationships with luxury hotels and resort properties throughout California who needed expertise for developing wedding coordination services and vendor relationship management that could attract affluent clientele while maintaining service excellence and guest satisfaction that supported their overall hospitality reputation and market positioning within competitive luxury accommodation markets. The consulting opportunities provided additional revenue streams while extending my influence throughout California's luxury hospitality industry, creating professional relationships with hotel executives, resort managers, and tourism industry leaders whose business decisions affected luxury travel and celebration tourism that represented significant economic development opportunities for regions throughout the state. But perhaps most importantly, my industry leadership and business success had created comprehensive understanding of luxury wedding market dynamics and family celebration requirements that would prove essential for recognizing the warning signs when my own daughter began developing attitudes and relationship approaches that violated every principle of family respect and intergenerational appreciation that I had observed and counseled families about throughout my professional career in luxury celebration coordination and family milestone event management. But to truly understand why Sarah's dismissive attitude toward her outdated mother would prove to be the most catastrophic miscalculation of her life, you need to know about the legendary crisis management moments that had established my reputation as the event coordinator who could save celebrations from complete disaster when every other professional had given up, and how my ability to coordinate miracles under impossible circumstances had created loyalty among California's most powerful families that extended far beyond business relationships into personal trust and social influence that could make or break reputations throughout the West Coast's elite. The most defining moment of my career occurred on October 12, 1994. During what should have been the wedding celebration of Amanda Richardson, daughter of tech mogul James Richardson, whose early investments in computer networking companies had made him one of Silicon Valley's most influential venture capitalists, and whose guest list for his daughter's wedding included technology industry legends, international business leaders, and political figures whose attendance represented the social event of the decade in Northern California. The Richardson wedding at our newly acquired Malibu oceanfront estate was planned as a celebration that would establish new standards for luxury wedding coordination, with a budget of $450,000 and vendor coordination involving the most exclusive service providers in California, working together to create a magical oceanfront celebration that would be featured in multiple luxury lifestyle publications and remembered as the pinnacle of 1990s wedding sophistication and technological industry social networking. 3 days before the celebration, disaster struck in the form of the most devastating natural catastrophe that had ever threatened a Whitmore Hospitality Group event. The Northridge earthquake, measuring 6.7 on the Richter scale, destroyed transportation infrastructure throughout Southern California, eliminated power and communication services across vast areas of the region, and created emergency conditions that prompted government officials to advise against all non-essential travel and large gatherings that could complicate emergency response efforts and public safety management. Most event coordination companies would have immediately canceled the celebration and refunded deposits, while expressing regret about circumstances beyond their control. Insurance policies provided coverage for natural disaster cancellations, and no reasonable person would have expected professional event coordinators to proceed with luxury celebration planning during a major natural disaster that had created emergency conditions throughout the region. But the Richardson family had invested 18 months of planning and relationship coordination in creating a celebration that would bring together technology industry leaders from around the world for networking opportunities and business relationship development that could influence venture capital investment patterns and startup company funding decisions throughout the emerging internet economy that was transforming global communication and business operations. More importantly, I understood that James Richardson's reputation within the technology industry and venture capital community depended on demonstrating the kind of reliability and problem-solving capability that distinguished successful business leaders from ordinary entrepreneurs who abandoned commitments when circumstances became challenging and required innovative solutions rather than conventional approaches to complex coordination problems. Eleanor, I know this earthquake has created impossible circumstances, but canceling this celebration would disappoint investors and business partners from 3 continents who have planned international travel specifically for this event, James Richardson explained during an emergency consultation meeting held in a parking garage because his office building had been damaged by the earthquake and remained unsafe for occupancy. These business relationships represent investment opportunities and partnership developments that could influence technology industry evolution for the next decade, and many of the international guests may never return to California if we demonstrate unreliability during challenging circumstances that test our commitment to maintaining business relationships and social obligations regardless of external problems. I spent the next 72 hours implementing the most complex crisis management and vendor coordination operation in luxury wedding industry history, working with emergency response teams, alternative transportation companies, and backup service providers throughout California to create celebration logistics that could succeed despite infrastructure damage and emergency conditions that had eliminated normal vendor access and service delivery capabilities. The first challenge was venue accessibility, since the Malibu estate had suffered minor structural damage and remained without electrical power or telecommunications services that were essential for vendor coordination and guest service management. I coordinated with emergency electrical contractors who installed temporary power systems using commercial generators, while telecommunications companies provided satellite communication equipment that restored internet and telephone services necessary for vendor coordination and guest communication. Transportation logistics required completely rebuilding guest travel arrangements since Los Angeles International Airport remained partially closed, and many highways had suffered damage that eliminated normal travel routes between Northern and Southern California. I worked with private aviation companies to arrange chartered flights for international guests, while coordinating with luxury bus transportation services that could navigate alternative routes and provide comfortable travel despite infrastructure limitations and traffic delays. But the most complex challenge was vendor coordination. Since many of our preferred service providers had suffered earthquake damage to their facilities and equipment, while others faced transportation difficulties that prevented normal service delivery to the Malibu venue location. I activated backup vendor relationships throughout California and coordinated with service providers as far away as Las Vegas and San Francisco to ensure availability of catering, floral design, photography, and entertainment services that could maintain celebration quality despite emergency circumstances. The catering coordination alone required managing suppliers from 4 different companies after our primary caterer's kitchen facilities suffered earthquake damage that eliminated their ability to prepare meals for 300 guests. I worked with restaurant partners throughout Southern California to coordinate meal preparation at multiple locations, then arranged specialized transportation to deliver fresh gourmet food to the venue while maintaining temperature control and presentation quality that met luxury celebration standards. Floral arrangements presented unique challenges since many flower suppliers had lost refrigeration capabilities due to power outages, while transportation difficulties limited access to fresh flowers from suppliers throughout California's Central Valley agricultural regions. I coordinated with specialty greenhouse operations that had maintained power and refrigeration, then arranged helicopter transportation to deliver fresh flowers and completed arrangements directly to the venue while bypassing damaged highway infrastructure. Photography and videography services required rebuilding equipment packages since several vendors had suffered damage to expensive camera and lighting equipment, while backup power requirements exceeded normal venue electrical capacity and demanded specialized generator coordination to ensure adequate power for professional photography throughout the celebration period. Entertainment coordination involved rescheduling musicians and performers whose travel plans had been disrupted by airport closures and highway damage, while sound system requirements exceeded the temporary electrical installations and required additional generator capacity and acoustic engineering to maintain audio quality for outdoor oceanfront celebration conditions. But beyond the individual vendor challenges, the entire celebration required comprehensive security coordination with local emergency response teams, who needed assurance that our event would not interfere with ongoing earthquake recovery efforts or create additional demands for emergency services during a crisis period when public safety resources were already stretched beyond normal capacity limits. I worked directly with Malibu emergency management officials to develop celebration logistics that included emergency response capabilities, guest safety protocols, and communication systems that could interface with public safety networks while maintaining celebration atmosphere and guest experience quality that honored the significance of the wedding milestone and business networking opportunities. On the morning of October 12th, despite infrastructure damage, power outages, and ongoing earthquake aftershocks that continued creating anxiety throughout Southern California, the Richardson wedding proceeded flawlessly with 300 guests from around the world participating in a magical oceanfront celebration that demonstrated the power of professional crisis management and vendor coordination excellence under impossible circumstances. The celebration not only proceeded without any visible signs of the crisis management that had made it possible, but exceeded guest expectations for luxury and sophistication while providing the business networking opportunities that James Richardson had planned for technology industry relationship development and investment coordination that would influence his venture capital activities throughout the following decade. But the real significance of the Richardson earthquake wedding extended far beyond individual celebration success to establish my reputation as the event coordinator who could deliver miracles under impossible circumstances, creating professional credibility and industry influence that would attract the most demanding clients throughout California's luxury wedding market while building vendor relationships and crisis management capabilities that distinguished Whitmore Hospitality Group from every other event coordination company on the West Coast. Within 6 months of the Richardson earthquake wedding, I was receiving inquiries from celebrities, technology executives, and international business leaders who specifically requested event coordination services because they had heard about the earthquake celebration and wanted access to crisis management capabilities and vendor relationship control that could guarantee celebration success regardless of external circumstances or coordination challenges that might threaten their important milestone events. The earthquake wedding success also attracted attention from luxury lifestyle publications and wedding industry professionals throughout North America, who featured the celebration as an example of extraordinary crisis management and professional excellence that redefined industry standards for vendor coordination and client service under challenging circumstances that would have defeated less experienced event management companies. But perhaps most importantly, the earthquake wedding established personal relationships with technology industry leaders and venture capital executives, whose business success and social influence extended throughout California's economic and political leadership networks, creating opportunities for consulting relationships and business development that expanded my industry influence beyond wedding coordination to comprehensive luxury event management for corporate celebrations and philanthropic events that shaped social and business relationships throughout the West Coast. The crisis management expertise demonstrated during the Richardson earthquake wedding became the foundation for developing specialized emergency response capabilities that distinguished Whitmore Hospitality Group from event coordination companies that could only operate under ideal circumstances and lacked the vendor relationships and problem-solving experience necessary for maintaining celebration excellence during challenging situations that tested professional competence and client commitment. Throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, I coordinated wedding celebrations that overcame natural disasters, vendor emergencies, venue problems, and family crises that would have destroyed events managed by less experienced coordinators, building a reputation for reliability and problem-solving excellence that made Whitmore Hospitality Group the preferred choice for families whose celebrations involved high stakes and couldn't tolerate failure or disappointment during important milestone events. One particularly challenging situation occurred during the June 2001 wedding of Patricia Chen, daughter of international business executive David Chen, whose guest list included diplomatic officials, Fortune 500 executives, and entertainment industry leaders whose attendance required security coordination and protocol management that exceeded ordinary wedding planning, while incorporating cultural traditions that honored the family's Chinese heritage and American business success. 2 weeks before the celebration, we discovered that the catering company contracted for the event had been using fraudulent business licenses and food safety certifications, while operating with expired permits and substandard kitchen facilities that posed serious health risks for guests and legal liability issues that could have resulted in criminal charges against everyone involved in the celebration planning and vendor coordination. Most event coordinators would have panic canceled the celebration or accepted whatever replacement catering was available on short notice, potentially compromising food quality and guest safety, while creating family disappointment and social embarrassment that could have damaged business relationships and personal reputations among the high-profile guests attending the celebration. Instead, I activated emergency vendor relationships and implemented crisis management protocols that completely rebuilt the catering arrangements within 10 days, while maintaining menu authenticity and service quality that honored the family's cultural preferences and guest expectations for luxury dining experiences appropriate for international business entertainment and diplomatic protocol requirements. I coordinated with 3 different specialty catering companies to provide Chinese culinary traditions, contemporary California cuisine, and international dietary accommodations that satisfied guest preferences while meeting food safety standards and health department requirements that protected everyone involved from legal liability and health risks that could have created serious consequences for family reputation and business relationships. The emergency catering coordination required rebuilding menu planning, ingredient sourcing, kitchen logistics, and service staff training, while maintaining the cultural authenticity and presentation quality that the Chen family had specifically requested for honoring their heritage, while impressing business guests whose attendance represented significant networking opportunities and relationship development for international business expansion and partnership coordination. The Chen wedding celebration proceeded with exceptional culinary excellence and cultural authenticity that exceeded guest expectations, while demonstrating the kind of professional crisis management and vendor relationship control that distinguished Whitmore Hospitality Group from event coordination companies that lacked emergency response capabilities and backup vendor networks necessary for maintaining celebration quality during challenging circumstances. But the Chen catering crisis was just one example of the ongoing emergency situations that tested my crisis management capabilities and vendor relationship strength throughout decades of luxury wedding coordination, each challenge building professional expertise and industry credibility that attracted increasingly demanding clients whose celebrations required vendor coordination and problem-solving abilities that exceeded ordinary event planning approaches. During the technology industry expansion of the early 2000s, I coordinated celebrations for internet entrepreneurs whose rapid wealth accumulation enabled wedding budgets exceeding $500,000, while their business success created guest lists that included venture capitalists, technology executives, and entertainment industry leaders whose attendance required coordination complexity that challenged every aspect of luxury event management and vendor relationship control. The September 2003 wedding of Michael Torres, co-founder of a social media platform that would eventually be acquired by a major technology company for over $1 billion, required coordinating with security firms, transportation companies, and specialty vendors who could manage privacy protection and paparazzi control, while maintaining celebration atmosphere and guest experience quality that honored the significance of the wedding milestone and business networking opportunities. 3 days before the celebration at our Napa Valley estate venue, we learned that entertainment industry tabloid publications had discovered the wedding location and were planning extensive paparazzi coverage that could have disrupted the celebration while violating guest privacy and creating security concerns for technology executives and entertainment industry figures whose attendance required confidentiality protection and personal safety management. I coordinated with private security companies and law enforcement agencies to implement privacy protection and crowd control measures that eliminated unauthorized media access while maintaining celebration atmosphere and guest experience quality that allowed family and friends to enjoy the wedding without security concerns or privacy violations that could have affected business relationships and personal comfort throughout the celebration period. The security coordination included establishing perimeter control around the entire venue property, managing guest transportation with privacy protection vehicles, and coordinating with local law enforcement to ensure legal compliance while maintaining effective crowd control and media management that protected celebration privacy without creating confrontational situations or public relations problems. But beyond security logistics, the Torres wedding required vendor coordination that could maintain luxury celebration standards while accommodating privacy protection requirements and security protocols that affected every aspect of event planning, from catering service to photography coordination and guest movement management throughout the venue property and surrounding areas. The celebration proceeded with complete privacy protection and security management that allowed guests to enjoy luxury wedding experiences without concerns about media intrusion or personal safety issues, while maintaining vendor coordination and service excellence that established new standards for high-profile event management and celebrity privacy protection within luxury wedding industry practices. Following the Torres wedding success, I received inquiries from entertainment industry executives, political figures, and international business leaders who needed event coordination services that could provide privacy protection and security management while maintaining luxury celebration standards and vendor coordination excellence that honored family traditions and milestone significance during important personal events that required professional discretion and confidentiality protection. The high-profile event management capabilities developed through celebrity and business leader wedding coordination expanded my professional network to include security consultants, privacy protection specialists, and government protocol experts whose expertise complemented luxury event coordination, while providing access to specialized services that distinguished Whitmore Hospitality Group from ordinary event planning companies that lacked experience with complex security requirements and confidentiality management. But perhaps the most significant crisis management achievement in my career occurred during the devastating California wildfire season of 2007, when natural disasters threatened multiple wedding celebrations scheduled at our venue properties throughout regions affected by emergency evacuations and air quality concerns that created health risks for guests while eliminating normal vendor access and service delivery capabilities. During the October 2007 wildfire emergency, 3 separate wedding celebrations scheduled at our venues faced potential cancellation due to evacuation orders, air quality warnings, and infrastructure damage that eliminated normal event coordination capabilities, while creating safety concerns for guests traveling from around the world for important family milestone celebrations that represented months of planning and relationship coordination. Rather than accepting defeat and canceling celebrations that represented significant emotional investment and family planning, I implemented comprehensive emergency relocation and vendor coordination that moved all 3 weddings to alternate venues while maintaining celebration quality and guest experience excellence that honored family traditions and milestone significance despite natural disaster circumstances. The emergency coordination required identifying alternate venue locations throughout California that could accommodate luxury wedding celebrations on short notice, while rebuilding vendor arrangements and transportation logistics that could deliver excellent service despite wildfire disruptions and air quality concerns that affected normal business operations throughout the affected regions. I worked with venue partners throughout Northern California to arrange alternate celebration locations that could provide luxury amenities and scenic beauty appropriate for high-end wedding celebrations, while coordinating emergency transportation for vendors and guests whose travel plans had been disrupted by evacuation orders and highway closures throughout the wildfire emergency areas. The vendor coordination challenges included managing catering companies whose kitchen facilities were located in evacuation zones, floral designers whose suppliers had been affected by air quality warnings, and photography teams whose equipment and travel plans required modification due to emergency circumstances and safety concerns that affected normal business operations and service delivery capabilities. But all three wedding celebrations proceeded with exceptional quality and guest satisfaction that demonstrated the power of professional crisis management and vendor relationship strength under natural disaster circumstances that would have eliminated celebration possibilities for event coordination companies lacking emergency response capabilities and backup vendor networks necessary for maintaining luxury service standards during challenging situations. The wildfire emergency response established my reputation as the event coordinator who could deliver celebration excellence under any circumstances, creating professional credibility and client loyalty that attracted the most demanding families throughout California's luxury wedding market, while building industry influence and vendor relationships that would sustain Whitmore Hospitality Group's market leadership throughout economic cycles and natural disasters that eliminated less professional event management companies. By 2010, my crisis management achievements had created legendary status within California's luxury event industry, with professional recognition that extended beyond individual celebration success to influence industry standards and emergency response protocols that other event coordination companies adopted for managing natural disasters and vendor emergencies that threatened luxury celebration coordination throughout the West Coast hospitality market. The professional expertise and industry influence that I had developed through decades of crisis management and vendor relationship excellence had created comprehensive understanding of family dynamics during high-pressure celebrations, where emergency circumstances often revealed people's true character and priorities in ways that ordinary family interactions, never exposed or tested through the kind of pressure situations that determined whether family relationships would survive the intense scrutiny and coordination challenges that luxury weddings created under challenging circumstances. But the most troubling pattern I had observed throughout my crisis management career was adult children who abandoned family respect and appreciation when celebration circumstances became challenging and required family unity rather than individual convenience and social image management, that prioritized external appearances over family relationships and elderly parent support during situations that tested character and family commitment under pressure conditions. The stage was being set for my own family crisis that would test whether my daughter understood that family relationships required appreciation and respect for parents whose lifetime achievements had created her opportunities and resources, or whether she would demonstrate the same selfishness in family relationship problems that I had observed among other families whose adult children failed character tests during important celebration milestones that revealed true priorities and family commitment levels. The first clear warning that Sarah viewed my involvement in her wedding as a social liability rather than understanding the business empire and industry connections that were making her dream celebration possible came during our venue selection meeting in October 2022, when she specifically requested that I not mention my old business connections while touring Rosewood Manor Vineyard with her fiancé Marcus Davidson and his wealthy family from Newport Beach, whose social status and business relationships represented the sophisticated image she wanted to project during her transition from my simple retired mother to a Mom, I really appreciate you helping with the venue search, but could you please just let Marcus and his parents focus on the property features without bringing up your old catering friends or vintage event planning stories? Sarah had said while we drove to Rosewood Manor for what she believed was an ordinary venue rental consultation, completely unaware that she was asking me to conceal my ownership of the property where she planned to host her $150,000 dream wedding celebration. The Davidson family operates in very contemporary business and social circles, and I want them to see our family as sophisticated and current rather than getting distracted by outdated industry stories that might make us seem less relevant to their lifestyle and social expectations. She continued with obvious anxiety about family image management that revealed her fundamental misunderstanding about the source of her opportunities and the business relationships that were enabling her luxury celebration planning. That venue consultation became the moment when I realized my daughter had developed the same dismissive attitudes toward elderly parents that I had observed among other families whose adult children failed to understand that their comfortable circumstances often depended on generational wealth and business relationships they had never bothered to investigate or appreciate, treating family resources as automatic entitlements rather than understanding the expertise and professional networks that created their opportunities. During the Rosewood Manor tour, Sarah consistently redirected conversations away from my comments about venue features and vendor logistics, apparently viewing my event planning knowledge as embarrassing evidence of working-class background, rather than recognizing the professional expertise that had created one of California's most exclusive wedding destinations, and the industry relationships that would coordinate her celebration with vendor excellence that other families couldn't access regardless of their budget or social connections. When Marcus Davidson's father, Richard Davidson, commented on the exceptional venue landscape design and asked about the property's development history, Sarah quickly interrupted before I could explain the comprehensive renovation and vendor relationship development that had transformed Rosewood Manor from an ordinary wine estate into California's premier luxury wedding destination. "The property has wonderful natural beauty and historic charm," Sarah replied with diplomatic vagueness that avoided acknowledging my role in creating the venue excellence that had attracted her initial interest and made Rosewood Manor her first choice for hosting a celebration that would impress the Davidson family's sophisticated social circle and business connections. But Richard Davidson's follow-up questions about catering capabilities and vendor coordination revealed business acumen and industry knowledge that indicated genuine interest in understanding the professional relationships and service excellence that distinguished premium wedding venues from ordinary event rental properties that couldn't deliver luxury celebration experiences appropriate for affluent families and demanding guest expectations. The venue coordination and vendor relationships seem exceptionally sophisticated for wine country properties, Richard observed while examining the professional-grade kitchen facilities and service areas that had been specifically designed for luxury catering operations and vendor coordination that could support celebrations with complex logistical requirements and high-end service delivery standards. What event management companies typically coordinate celebrations here, and do they maintain exclusive vendor relationships that ensure service quality and reliability throughout the wedding planning process? He continued with questions that demonstrated understanding of luxury event industry dynamics and vendor coordination complexity that determines celebration success or failure for high-end wedding planning. Sarah's obvious discomfort with her father-in-law's industry-focused questions created an awkward silence that revealed her anxiety about family image management, while highlighting her complete ignorance about the business relationships and professional expertise that were making her dream wedding possible through venue access and vendor coordination that other families couldn't obtain regardless of their financial resources or social connections. "I'm sure the venue management can provide detailed information about vendor relationships and coordination services," Sarah finally replied with nervous deflection that avoided acknowledging my presence or expertise, while attempting to redirect the conversation toward venue aesthetics and celebration atmosphere, rather than the business logistics and professional relationships that would determine her wedding's success or failure. But Richard Davidson's business instincts had recognized the exceptional coordination capabilities and vendor relationship sophistication that distinguished Rosewood Manor from ordinary venue rental properties, and his continued questions about event management and industry partnerships revealed genuine appreciation for professional excellence and business relationship development that created superior service delivery and client satisfaction. "Mrs. Whitmore, you seem very knowledgeable about venue operations and vendor coordination," Richard said directly, apparently recognizing my expertise despite Sarah's attempts to minimize my involvement and redirect attention away from industry knowledge that she viewed as social embarrassment rather than valuable family resource that was enabling her luxury celebration planning. "Do you have experience in event planning or hospitality management that could provide insights about vendor selection and coordination quality that would ensure excellent service delivery and guest satisfaction throughout the wedding planning process?" He continued with respectful recognition that demonstrated proper appreciation for elderly expertise and professional knowledge that could benefit family celebration planning. The moment of truth had arrived when I could either support Sarah's image management by concealing my industry leadership and business ownership, or provide honest information about my professional background and the venue relationships that were making her dream wedding possible through access and coordination capabilities that other families couldn't obtain through ordinary wedding planning approaches. I have some experience with event coordination and vendor relationships throughout California's wedding industry, I replied diplomatically, testing whether Sarah would appreciate family honesty and professional expertise, or whether she would continue prioritizing image management over family respect and business relationship transparency that could benefit everyone involved in her celebration planning. But Sarah's immediate tension and obvious desire to change subjects revealed her commitment to concealing family background and professional relationships that she viewed as social liabilities rather than valuable resources that were creating her wedding opportunities and vendor access through industry connections and business ownership that other families couldn't replicate regardless of their financial investment. Mom has helped with some family event planning over the years, Sarah added quickly, with dismissive minimization that reduced decades of industry leadership and business development to casual family assistance, while signaling her desire to end discussions about professional background and focus on venue aesthetics that wouldn't reveal family business relationships or expertise levels. The venue consultation concluded with the Davidson family expressing enthusiasm for Rosewood Manor's capabilities and professional coordination resources, while Sarah scheduled follow-up meetings for vendor selection and celebration planning that would require extensive coordination with catering companies, floral designers, and specialty service providers whose availability and service quality depended entirely on industry relationships and professional networks that she had just asked me to conceal and minimize. Following the venue selection, Sarah's wedding planning approach continued demonstrating the same pattern of dismissing family expertise while benefiting from business relationships and industry access that she refused to acknowledge or appreciate, treating vendor availability and service excellence as automatic results of her celebration budget rather than understanding the professional networks and coordination expertise that were making her luxury wedding planning possible. During vendor selection meetings throughout November and December 2022, Sarah consistently positioned herself as the primary decision-maker while minimizing my involvement and expertise, apparently believing that contemporary wedding planning required independent coordination and vendor relationship development rather than understanding that luxury celebration success depended on industry connections and professional reputation that had been developed through decades of relationship building and service excellence. When we met with Delacroix Family Catering to discuss menu planning and service coordination for her reception, Sarah introduced me as, quote, my mother who has some experience with family events, rather than acknowledging the crisis management relationship that had saved their company during the 2008 recession and created loyalty and preferred service access that would ensure exceptional catering quality and coordination reliability throughout her wedding planning process. The Delacroix family's obvious recognition and respectful deference toward me created confusion that Sarah attempted to minimize through conversation redirection and focus on menu details rather than allowing natural discussion of professional relationships and service history that would have provided valuable insights about catering quality and coordination capabilities for her celebration planning and guest satisfaction requirements. Mrs. Whitmore, it's wonderful to see you again, Marie Delacroix had said with genuine warmth and professional respect that reflected decades of business relationship and mutual success through luxury event coordination and vendor partnership development that had benefited both companies and countless client families throughout California's wedding industry. We're honored to provide catering services for your daughter's celebration, and please know that we'll coordinate with the same excellence and attention to detail that has characterized our professional relationship throughout your remarkable career in hospitality management, she continued with recognition and appreciation that demonstrated proper respect for industry expertise and business relationship value. But Sarah's obvious discomfort with professional recognition and vendor relationship acknowledgement revealed her anxiety about family image management and her desire to present herself as an independent client rather than someone benefiting from generational business relationships and industry expertise that were providing vendor access and service quality advantages that other families couldn't obtain through ordinary wedding planning approaches. Thank you for your enthusiasm about our celebration, Sarah replied with diplomatic language that avoided acknowledging family business relationships while attempting to establish herself as the primary client contact for catering coordination and menu planning that would require extensive vendor communication and service delivery management throughout the wedding planning timeline. The pattern continued throughout vendor selection meetings with floral designers, photography teams, and entertainment providers, who recognized my industry reputation and attempted to provide service coordination and quality advantages that reflected professional relationships and business partnership development, spanning decades of luxury event management and vendor coordination excellence. Each vendor meeting created the same dynamic where Sarah minimized family-business relationships while benefiting from industry access and service quality that depended entirely on professional networks and coordination expertise that she refused to acknowledge or appreciate, treating vendor availability and excellence as automatic results of her budget rather than understanding the relationship foundation that was making her dream wedding possible. But the most revealing moment occurred during our December meeting with Alexandra Morrison, one of California's most exclusive wedding photographers whose portfolio included celebrity weddings and international business leader celebrations that required coordination, excellence, and artistic quality that distinguished luxury event photography from ordinary wedding documentation and family milestone recording. Eleanor Whitmore, Alexandra had said with immediate recognition and professional enthusiasm that reflected years of collaboration and mutual success through luxury event coordination that had produced artistic excellence and client satisfaction throughout some of California's most prestigious wedding celebrations and family milestone events. "This is such an unexpected pleasure to work with your family's celebration," she continued with genuine respect and industry appreciation that demonstrated proper recognition for professional expertise and business relationship value that should have made Sarah proud of family accomplishment and industry standing rather than creating embarrassment about business background and professional connections. "I've photographed so many of your coordinated events throughout the years, and they've consistently represented the highest standards of vendor coordination and celebration excellence that make artistic documentation meaningful and beautiful, rather than just expensive wedding photography that lacks emotional significance and family heritage preservation," Alexandra explained with detailed professional recognition that highlighted the collaboration quality and service excellence that distinguished my industry leadership and vendor relationship development. But instead of feeling pride about family professional recognition and industry respect that demonstrated lifetime achievement and business success, Sarah's obvious anxiety and desire to redirect conversation away from professional relationships revealed her fundamental misunderstanding about the source of her wedding opportunities and vendor access that was making her dream celebration possible through coordination excellence and industry partnership. "We're excited about working with you for our wedding photography," Sarah replied with nervous deflection that avoided acknowledging family-business relationships while attempting to establish independent client communication and service coordination that ignored the professional foundation and vendor loyalty that were ensuring artistic quality and coordination reliability for her celebration documentation. The vendor selection process concluded in January 2023, with all premium service providers confirmed for Sarah's June wedding, each offering service quality and coordination excellence that exceeded ordinary wedding vendor capabilities through professional relationships and industry loyalty that had been developed through decades of business partnership and mutual success in luxury event management and client satisfaction achievement. But throughout the entire vendor coordination process, Sarah had systematically minimized family business relationships while benefiting from industry access and service advantages that other families couldn't obtain regardless of their budget or social connections, treating professional expertise as social embarrassment rather than valuable resource that was creating her wedding opportunities, and vendor excellence through relationship networks and coordination capabilities that required lifetime development and industry leadership. The stage was set for the ultimate test of family relationships that would determine whether Sarah understood the respect and appreciation that elderly parents deserved for lifetime achievements and business success that had created her opportunities, or whether she would demonstrate the same dismissive attitudes and family relationship problems that I had observed among other families whose adult children failed character tests during important milestone celebrations that revealed true priorities and family values. June 15, 2023, arrived with perfect weather conditions and comprehensive vendor coordination that reflected months of professional planning and relationship management designed to create the luxury celebration experience that Sarah had dreamed about since childhood. With every detail coordinated through industry expertise and business relationships that ensured vendor excellence and guest satisfaction throughout the magical day, that should have represented family unity and intergenerational celebration rather than character testing and relationship. The morning coordination meetings with vendors proceeded flawlessly, with catering setup, floral arrangements, photography preparation, and entertainment staging all demonstrating the professional excellence and attention to detail that distinguished Whitmore Hospitality Group events from ordinary wedding celebrations, while vendor teams expressed enthusiasm and commitment to creating celebration experiences that would honor family traditions and milestone significance through service quality and artistic excellence. But the first indication that Sarah viewed the wedding day as an opportunity to demonstrate her independence from family relationships rather than celebrating intergenerational support and parental appreciation came during our 11 a.m. coordination meeting, when she announced changes to ceremony logistics that would minimize my visibility and family role during the celebration that I had made possible through venue ownership and vendor coordination that required ongoing professional oversight and quality management. "Mom, I've been thinking about the ceremony processional, and I've decided that I want to walk down the aisle alone rather than having traditional family escort," Sarah announced with obvious nervousness about family conversation that suggested pre-planned decision-making rather than spontaneous wedding day preference changes that honored personal style and celebration significance. "Walking alone will create a more contemporary and independent image that reflects my personal strength and individual identity rather than traditional family dependency that might seem outdated to our guests and the Davidson family, who appreciate modern approaches to family relationships and celebration traditions." She continued with language that revealed extensive planning and justification development for eliminating traditional family roles and parental involvement during the ceremony that should have honored intergenerational relationships and family heritage. The request to eliminate traditional father-daughter ceremony roles might have seemed reasonable for families where relationships were strained or parents were unavailable, but Sarah's approach revealed systematic planning to minimize family visibility and traditional relationship recognition during the celebration that was being made possible through family business ownership and professional coordination that required ongoing management and quality oversight. "Walking down the aisle together has been a family tradition that honors the relationship between parents and children during important life transitions," I replied carefully, testing whether Sarah's ceremony preference reflected genuine personal style or systematic family relationship minimization that prioritized image management over intergenerational respect and family tradition preservation. "I understand contemporary approaches to ceremony traditions, but this celebration represents an opportunity to demonstrate family unity and appreciation for the relationships that have supported your opportunities and personal development throughout your life," I continued with gentle family guidance that respected her wedding day preferences, while encouraging consideration of family relationships and tradition significance. But Sarah's immediate defensive response revealed that ceremony planning had become another opportunity for minimizing family involvement, rather than celebrating intergenerational relationships and parental support that had created her opportunities and enabled her luxury wedding celebration through business ownership and professional coordination that required family recognition and respect, rather than systematic concealment and role reduction. "This is my wedding day, and I should be able to choose ceremony traditions that reflect my personal preferences rather than feeling obligated to maintain family customs that don't feel authentic to my relationship with Marcus and our approach to modern marriage and family independence," Sarah replied with obvious frustration about family input and tradition consideration that revealed her commitment to image management over family relationship respect and intergenerational appreciation. "I want to present myself as an independent woman who doesn't need traditional family support or parental guidance for making important life decisions and transitioning into marriage relationships that reflect contemporary values rather than outdated family dependency and traditional role expectations," she continued with language that demonstrated systematic rejection of family relationships and parental appreciation rather than understanding that wedding celebrations achieve their deepest meaning through family unity and intergenerational blessing rather than individual independence and family relationship minimization. The conversation about ceremony traditions revealed Sarah's fundamental misunderstanding about the relationship between family respect and personal independence, treating parental appreciation as dependency rather than understanding that mature adult relationships honored family contributions, while maintaining individual identity and personal decision-making authority that didn't require rejecting family heritage and intergenerational support systems. But the ceremony discussion was just the beginning of Sarah's systematic approach to minimizing family involvement and visibility throughout the wedding day, as she continued announcing changes and restrictions that reduced my role and recognition during the celebration that was being made possible through family business ownership and professional coordination that required ongoing oversight and vendor management for ensuring service excellence and guest satisfaction. I've also decided that family introductions and recognition during the reception should be minimized to avoid lengthy family presentations that might bore our guests and create awkward moments with the Davidson family, who prefer celebrations that focus on the couple rather than extended family traditions and intergenerational relationship recognition, Sarah announced, with continued systematic planning for reducing family visibility and traditional relationship acknowledgement during the reception celebration. Instead of traditional family toasts and parent recognition, I want to keep reception entertainment focused on contemporary celebration activities and social networking opportunities that will impress our guests and create the sophisticated atmosphere that reflects our lifestyle preferences and social aspirations. She continued, with obvious priority for guest impression management over family relationship celebration and intergenerational appreciation that should have characterized wedding reception traditions and family milestone recognition. The systematic elimination of family recognition and traditional relationship celebration during the reception revealed Sarah's complete commitment to image management over family respect, treating the wedding as social performance rather than family milestone that honored intergenerational relationships and parental contributions that had created her opportunities and enabled her luxury celebration through business ownership and professional coordination excellence. But the most devastating revelation came when Sarah announced her decision about reception logistics and vendor coordination oversight, demonstrating complete ignorance about the ongoing professional management required for ensuring vendor excellence and service quality throughout the celebration that required industry expertise and relationship coordination that only I could provide. I've arranged for Marcus's sister Jennifer to handle any vendor coordination or event management issues that might arise during the reception, since she has experience with corporate event planning and understands contemporary service management approaches that match our celebration style and guest expectations, Sarah explained with obvious confidence about alternative coordination arrangements that revealed dangerous misunderstanding about vendor relationship complexity and industry expertise requirements. I want you to be able to relax and enjoy the celebration as a guest rather than feeling responsible for vendor management or service coordination that should be handled by professional event staff rather than family members who deserve to participate in celebration enjoyment. She continued with language that seemed considerate but actually demonstrated complete ignorance about venue ownership and vendor relationship management that required ongoing professional oversight and industry expertise for ensuring service excellence and crisis prevention. The suggestion that Marcus's sister could provide vendor coordination and event management oversight for a luxury wedding celebration at Rosewood Manor revealed Sarah's complete failure to understand the professional relationships and industry expertise that were making her dream wedding possible, while creating dangerous possibilities for vendor confusion and service failures that could destroy celebration quality and guest satisfaction if coordination authority became unclear or conflicted. Vendor coordination and event management for luxury celebrations require specific industry relationships and professional expertise that ensure service quality and crisis management capabilities, I explained carefully, attempting to provide education about coordination complexity without revealing venue ownership and vendor relationship control that Sarah had systematically attempted to minimize throughout her wedding planning process. Professional event oversight ensures vendor communication and service delivery coordination that prevents problems while maintaining celebration quality and guest satisfaction that reflects the investment and planning that has created this luxury celebration experience. I continued with gentle industry education that respected her coordination preferences while emphasizing the expertise requirements for maintaining service excellence and vendor performance standards. But Sarah's dismissive response to vendor coordination concerns revealed her complete confidence about alternative arrangements and systematic rejection of family expertise that demonstrated dangerous overconfidence about wedding industry dynamics and vendor relationship management that required ongoing professional oversight and crisis management capabilities. Jennifer has coordinated corporate events with budgets exceeding $200,000 and has experience managing vendor relationships and service delivery logistics that are much more complex than wedding celebration coordination, Sarah replied, with obvious conviction about alternative coordination capabilities that revealed complete misunderstanding about luxury wedding vendor relationship complexity and industry expertise requirements. Wedding vendor coordination is basically sophisticated party planning that requires organization and communication skills rather than specialized industry knowledge or professional relationships that can't be managed by competent event coordinators with corporate experience and vendor management backgrounds. She continued with dangerous oversimplification of luxury wedding coordination requirements and vendor relationship complexity that could create serious service problems and celebration failures if coordination authority became confused or vendor relationships were mismanaged. The conversation about vendor coordination revealed the final confirmation of Sarah's complete dismissal of family expertise and professional relationships, while demonstrating dangerous confidence about alternative arrangements that could create vendor confusion and service failures during the luxury celebration that required industry expertise and relationship management that only I could provide. As the afternoon ceremony approached and vendor coordination became increasingly critical for ensuring service excellence and timeline management, I realized that Sarah's systematic minimization of family involvement and professional expertise had created a dangerous situation where vendor relationships and coordination authority could become confused, potentially threatening celebration quality and guest satisfaction that required immediate intervention and professional oversight. The moment of ultimate confrontation arrived at 4:30 p.m., precisely 30 minutes before the scheduled ceremony start time, when I approached Sarah in the bridal preparation area to discuss final vendor coordination and timeline management that required family decision-making and professional oversight for ensuring ceremony excellence and guest experience quality throughout the celebration. Sarah, we need to discuss vendor coordination and timeline management for ensuring ceremony and reception excellence. I began with professional urgency that reflected the critical importance of coordination clarity and vendor relationship management during the final preparation period that determined celebration success or failure. But Sarah's response revealed the complete extent of her dismissive attitude toward family involvement and professional expertise, creating the character-revealing moment that would justify comprehensive consequences and celebration intervention that would teach her the true cost of dismissing elderly parents whose business relationships and industry expertise were making her dream wedding possible. Mom, I've already told you that Jennifer is handling vendor coordination, and I need you to stop trying to micromanage my wedding and just focus on being a guest rather than constantly interfering with professional event management that doesn't require your involvement or outdated industry connections, Sarah replied with cruel dismissal that revealed her complete lack of respect for family expertise and professional relationships, while demonstrating dangerous confidence about alternative coordination arrangements. This is my wedding day, and I've planned everything carefully with contemporary event management approaches that don't require old-fashioned vendor relationships or traditional family involvement that might embarrass our guests or create outdated celebration management that doesn't match our sophisticated lifestyle and social expectations. She continued with devastating personal attack that revealed her true feelings about family relationships and parental appreciation, while demonstrating complete ignorance about the business ownership and vendor control that were making her celebration possible. But the final devastating blow came when Sarah made the comment that sealed her fate and justified implementing consequences that would teach her the true meaning of family respect and appreciation for elderly parents whose lifetime achievements had created her opportunities and enabled her luxury celebration through business ownership and professional expertise that she had systematically dismissed and minimized. Honestly, Mom, you're being embarrassing with all this vendor coordination obsession, and I need you to understand that your old-fashioned event planning background doesn't qualify you for managing contemporary luxury weddings that require professional expertise and industry connections that match current standards rather than outdated approaches that make our family seem unsophisticated and professionally irrelevant, Sarah announced with complete cruelty and disrespect that revealed her true character and family relationship priorities when pressure situations tested her appreciation for parental contributions and intergenerational respect. I want you to just sit quietly in the back during the ceremony and try not to draw attention to yourself or create any disruptions that might interfere with the sophisticated celebration atmosphere that we've worked so hard to create for impressing our guests and the Davidson family, who expect excellence and professionalism rather than family drama and outdated event management interference. She concluded with final confirmation of her complete dismissal of family relationships and parental respect that justified implementing immediate consequences for her treatment of the elderly parent whose business ownership and vendor relationships were making her. The moment had arrived when Sarah would discover the true cost of dismissing family expertise and treating elderly parents as social embarrassments, as I prepared to implement consequences that would teach her the devastating lesson about respecting the business relationships and professional achievements that had created her opportunities while revealing the true source of her wedding celebration and vendor excellence. Sarah, since you find my event planning background embarrassing and prefer contemporary vendor coordination that doesn't require family involvement or outdated industry connections, I think it's time for you to experience professional event management that truly reflects your independent capabilities and sophisticated standards. I announced with calm determination that reflected decades of crisis management experience and vendor relationship control that would demonstrate the reality of her wedding coordination and celebration logistics. I'm going to provide you with the complete independence from family event planning assistance that you've requested, allowing you and Jennifer to coordinate vendor management and service delivery without any interference from my embarrassing old-fashioned industry relationships or outdated professional expertise. I continued with strategic language that positioned the consequences as fulfilling her expressed preferences, rather than punishment for family disrespect and parental dismissal. But Sarah's confident response revealed her complete failure to understand the implications of losing family business relationships and vendor coordination support, demonstrating dangerous overconfidence about alternative arrangements and coordination capabilities that would soon create comprehensive celebration failure and public embarrassment that would teach her the true value of family expertise and professional relationships. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, Sarah replied, with obvious relief and satisfaction about achieving independence from family involvement and vendor coordination oversight that she viewed as interference rather than essential professional support and business relationship management. Jennifer and I can handle vendor coordination perfectly well without outdated event planning approaches that don't match contemporary luxury wedding standards and professional service expectations. She continued with complete confidence about alternative coordination arrangements that revealed her fundamental misunderstanding about vendor relationship complexity and industry expertise requirements for maintaining celebration excellence and service quality. The consequences began immediately as I activated vendor relationship authority and business ownership control that Sarah had never understood or appreciated, implementing service modifications and coordination changes that would demonstrate the true source of her wedding excellence and professional support while teaching her the devastating cost of dismissing family business relationships and parental expertise. Within 15 minutes of Sarah's dismissive comments about my embarrassing event planning background, every vendor providing services for her wedding celebration received notification of immediate contract termination and service cancellation, authorized through venue ownership authority and vendor relationship control that eliminated all professional support and luxury service provision that had been making her dream wedding possible. Delacroix Family Catering received instructions to immediately cease meal preparation and service setup, while removing all food, equipment, and service staff from the venue property, eliminating the gourmet dining experience that had been planned for 200 guests who would soon discover that contemporary vendor coordination couldn't replace decades of industry relationships and professional partnership development. Alexandra Morrison Photography received notification of immediate contract cancellation and equipment removal, eliminating artistic documentation and professional photography services that had been scheduled to preserve wedding memories and family milestone significance through artistic excellence that reflected vendor loyalty and professional relationship quality. The floral design team received instructions to immediately remove all arrangements and decorative elements while canceling delivery of ceremony and reception flowers, eliminating the botanical artistry and natural beauty that had been planned to create magical celebration atmosphere and romantic venue enhancement through vendor expertise and artistic coordination. Entertainment services received immediate cancellation notification with instructions to cease equipment setup and performance preparation, eliminating musical entertainment and reception atmosphere that had been planned to create celebration enjoyment and guest experience quality through professional performance and artistic excellence. But the most devastating vendor cancellation was the immediate termination of catering service and reception logistics, creating a situation where 200 guests would arrive for a luxury wedding celebration only to discover that no food, drinks, or reception services were available because contemporary vendor coordination had failed to maintain professional relationships and service provider loyalty that required industry expertise and business partnership development. The comprehensive vendor cancellation created immediate crisis conditions that revealed the complete inadequacy of alternative coordination arrangements, as Jennifer's corporate event planning experience proved completely irrelevant for managing luxury wedding vendor emergencies and service failures that required industry relationships and professional expertise rather than generic event management skills and contemporary coordination approaches. Within 30 minutes of vendor cancellation implementation, the wedding celebration had transformed from luxury dream experience into complete disaster with stranded guests, eliminated services, and comprehensive celebration failure that demonstrated the true value of family business relationships and professional expertise that Sarah had dismissed as embarrassing and outdated rather than understanding their essential importance for maintaining vendor excellence and service quality. The ceremony proceeded with Sarah walking down the aisle alone as she had requested, but instead of contemporary independence and sophisticated atmosphere, her solitary processional created awkward silence and obvious confusion among guests who witnessed the systematic elimination of vendor services and celebration logistics that had transformed her dream wedding into public embarrassment and social disaster. The reception area stood empty of catering equipment, floral arrangements, and entertainment setup, creating stark venue space that revealed the absence of vendor coordination and professional service provision, while demonstrating the complete failure of contemporary event management approaches that lacked industry relationships and business partnership development necessary for luxury celebration coordination. But the most devastating aspect of the vendor cancellation consequences was the social embarrassment and family reputation damage that occurred as 200 guests, including the sophisticated Davidson family and international business leaders, witnessed the complete celebration failure and vendor coordination disaster that revealed Sarah's fundamental misunderstanding about the source of her wedding opportunities and professional support. Richard Davidson's obvious confusion and disappointment about the service failures and vendor coordination problems created family tension and relationship damage that extended beyond individual celebration disaster to affect business relationships and social standing that would influence Sarah's marriage and social acceptance within affluent communities throughout California's elite social circles. The international guests who had traveled from Europe and Asia for the celebration expressed shock and confusion about the service failures and vendor coordination problems, creating diplomatic embarrassment and social reputation damage that would follow Sarah's family through international business networks and social connections that influenced professional opportunities and relationship development. But beyond the immediate social embarrassment and guest disappointment, the vendor cancellation had created comprehensive financial consequences that revealed the true cost of dismissing family business relationships and treating elderly parents as social embarrassments, rather than appreciating the professional expertise and industry connections that had made luxury celebration possible. The immediate financial impact included forfeiture of all vendor deposits and service payments, totaling over $85,000. Representing money that had been invested in vendor coordination and service provision that was lost due to contract cancellation and service termination that resulted from family disrespect and parental dismissal rather than vendor failure or service inadequacy. But the long-term financial consequences extended far beyond immediate deposit losses to include comprehensive exclusion from California's luxury wedding vendor network, as service providers throughout the industry learned about the family disrespect and parental dismissal that had created vendor cancellation and contract termination, making future luxury event coordination impossible regardless of budget or social connections. The vendor relationship damage created permanent consequences for any future family celebrations or milestone events, as catering companies, floral designers, photographers, and entertainment providers throughout California's luxury event industry maintained professional networks that shared information about client behavior and family relationship problems that affected vendor coordination and service delivery reliability. Sarah's treatment of elderly parents and dismissal of family expertise had created industry reputation damage that would prevent access to premium vendor services and luxury celebration coordination regardless of future financial resources or social advancement, demonstrating the lasting consequences of family disrespect and intergenerational relationship problems that extended beyond individual celebration failure to affect lifetime event planning and milestone celebration capabilities. But perhaps most devastating was the revelation that the venue ownership and business control that had made her dream wedding possible belonged to the elderly mother she had dismissed as embarrassing and outdated, creating complete understanding of the professional expertise and industry relationships that she had systematically minimized and rejected throughout her wedding planning process. As Sarah stood in the empty reception area surrounded by confused guests and eliminated vendor services, she finally understood that the woman she had called embarrassing was actually Eleanor Whitmore, owner of Rosewood Manor Vineyard and founder of Whitmore Hospitality Group, whose industry leadership and vendor relationships had created the luxury wedding opportunities that she had destroyed through family disrespect and parental dismissal. The realization that her contemporary vendor coordination and professional event management expertise had failed completely, while the outdated family relationships and embarrassing industry connections could have prevented the disaster, created comprehensive understanding of the true value of elderly parent expertise and the devastating cost of dismissing intergenerational wisdom and professional achievement that had supported her opportunities throughout her life. Today, 3 years after dismissing me as embarrassing and preferring contemporary vendor coordination over family business relationships, Sarah works as a junior marketing coordinator in San Diego, earning $45,000 annually while struggling to rebuild social reputation and family relationships that were damaged by the wedding disaster and vendor coordination failure that demonstrated her character flaws and family relationship problems. Her marriage to Marcus Davidson survived the wedding disaster, but their social standing within affluent California circles remains limited by the reputation damage and family relationship problems that were revealed during the celebration failure, affecting business networking opportunities and social advancement that require community, respect, and family stability rather than individual achievement and professional credentials alone. The Davidson family's disappointment about the wedding coordination disaster and family relationship problems created ongoing tension and limited acceptance that affects holiday celebrations, family gatherings, and social events where intergenerational respect and family unity are expected rather than individual advancement and family relationship minimization that characterized Sarah's approach to wedding planning and parental appreciation. Sarah's attempts to rebuild family relationships and restore parental respect have been complicated by the comprehensive nature of her dismissive behavior and the public character revelation that occurred during the wedding disaster, creating lasting consequences that require sustained character development and family commitment rather than temporary apologies and superficial relationship repair efforts. The wedding industry reputation damage has prevented Sarah from coordinating any significant family celebrations or milestone events, as vendor networks throughout California maintain professional relationships and industry communication that preserve information about client behavior and family relationship problems that affect service delivery and coordination reliability for future event planning. But beyond the personal and professional consequences, Sarah lost access to family business relationships and industry expertise that represented cultural heritage and professional legacy that cannot be restored through individual achievement or contemporary relationship approaches that lack the depth and authenticity of intergenerational family connection and elderly parent appreciation. The Whitmore Hospitality Group continues serving California's luxury wedding market with vendor excellence and professional coordination that honors family relationships while maintaining industry leadership and service quality that creates magical celebration experiences for families who understand the value of intergenerational respect and elderly parent expertise, rather than treating professional achievement as social embarrassment. My continued leadership in California's luxury event industry maintains vendor relationships and business partnerships that generate celebration opportunities and professional success for families who demonstrate character and family values while providing employment and business development for hundreds of service providers throughout the hospitality community who depend on family-owned businesses and intergenerational leadership for maintaining excellent standards and industry stability. The modest guest cottage where Sarah had planned for me to, quote, sit quietly and not draw attention, continues serving as headquarters for business operations and vendor coordination that manages luxury celebrations for families throughout California who appreciate elderly expertise and understand that professional achievement requires respecting intergenerational wisdom, rather than dismissing family relationships for contemporary image management and social advancement priorities. Sometimes the most important lesson you can teach entitled adult children is that elderly parents aren't social embarrassments to be minimized during important celebrations, but valuable family members whose professional achievements and business relationships create the opportunities that enable younger generations to host luxury celebrations, while sometimes forgetting the source and requirements of their celebration possibilities and vendor access. Sarah learned that elderly people who appear outdated and embarrassing may actually control the business relationships and industry expertise that determine whether important celebrations succeed or fail, and that dismissing family contributions and parental respect can result in consequences more devastating and permanent than social embarrassment. It can destroy the relationships and reputation that determine future opportunities and family legacy preservation. The June 15th wedding that seemed like an opportunity to demonstrate independence from family relationships became the most expensive celebration of Sarah's life, teaching her that family respect isn't outdated tradition, but essential foundation for maintaining the business relationships and professional support that create celebration possibilities and vendor excellence that enable luxury experiences and milestone significance. What would you have done if your own adult child dismissed your professional expertise as embarrassing, while benefiting from business relationships and industry connections they never understood or appreciated? Have you ever encountered family members who assumed they could minimize elderly parents' contributions while taking professional support and business advantages for granted? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if this story has inspired you to examine your own assumptions about elderly parents and their professional achievements, and the importance of treating family expertise as valuable resource rather than social embarrassment that requires minimization and concealment during important celebrations. And if you found this story of family consequences and professional justice resonating with you, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories of people who discovered that dismissing elderly parents and treating family relationships as social liabilities can result in consequences more expensive and permanent than they could ever imagine, affecting not only individual celebrations, but lifetime opportunities and family legacy preservation. Remember, family-business relationships aren't automatic entitlements. They're professional achievements that require maintaining character, family respect, and appreciation for elderly parents whose lifetime accomplishments created the opportunities and vendor access that younger generations often take for granted, while sometimes failing to understand the effort and respect required to preserve access to professional networks and industry relationships that can disappear permanently based on behavior during important family celebrations that test true character and intergenerational. The wedding industry taught me that respect flows both ways in families, but when adult children treat their parents as social embarrassments while benefiting from decades of professional achievement and business relationship development, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let them experience the full consequences of their choices and learn the true value of family relationships through the expensive education that only complete independence and professional failure can provide. Sarah's wedding day disaster became a legendary cautionary tale throughout California's luxury event industry, shared among vendors and venue owners as an example of what happens when family disrespect meets professional reality, and how dismissing elderly expertise can transform dream celebrations into unforgettable disasters that teach permanent lessons about the true source of opportunities and the irreplaceable value of intergenerational wisdom and business relationship preservation. The empty reception hall at Rosewood Manor still echoes with the silence of 200 confused guests who witnessed what happens when contemporary confidence meets decades of professional expertise, and when family dismissal encounters the reality of business ownership and vendor relationship control that determines whether celebrations create magical memories or serve as expensive reminders of the cost of disrespecting the elderly parents whose achievements made luxury experiences possible in the first place. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.